wanted to talk through those things. The deluge of information is real, and it's frustrating when you're the recipient of all that information, because some of it gives you hope, which is very, very good, but also some of it's really frustrating, because it's like, no matter how you go through the situation, just because it helped one person in one circumstance and for one type of this issue has no relevance to me.
Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
In a world where Big Pharma writes the script, it's time to believe. Biohack, come.
We're here to explore the truth about healing that exists outside the broken medical system, to give you the knowledge, the community, and the strategies you need to become the hero of your own health story.
Your guide is a biohacking entrepreneur, a near-death survivor, and a cancer warrior navigating his own healing journey. Founder of Biohacking Bill, Exodus Strong, and QE Strong. Your host, Rene. This is Biohacking Bill, where the medical system has failed us. One man is leading the rebellion to reclaim.
Hi, this is Rene. This is Biohacking Bill podcast. Today it's going to be a different episode. This episode is going to be a testimony episode. So if you're looking for biohacking tips and things that I'd love to talk about, this is not that episode. This episode, we're going to actually open up in a prayer. I'm going to tell you a story that I've not really told in detail before, that is really important part of my journey, and especially dealing with the diagnosis that I had received. And then we're going to end in a prayer as well. A big part of what I do is talk about all things biohacking. I talk about the light code system I've worked on, but a big part of what I've been drawn to is my faith. And so I think this episode is going to be very important for a number of people going through this journey. I'm going through this journey. And many of you know, if you're not going through this journey yourself, a friend or a loved one who is. So these conditions and the condition I have, I'm going to try not to say the word very often, because it's getting strikes on some of the platforms, and it's really, really tragic. But I do want to just get through this episode, and really, I believe it's going to help somebody. And so let's start off with just a really quick prayer. Just, dear Lord, thank you so much for everyone listening to this episode. Thank you for the people who didn't turn off the screen and go to the next thing. This is an important episode. It's an important thing. They're going to learn some things about what I have done, as well as what you've done for me. I think that's the most important part, and give people hope. There is hope, and it's exciting what you are doing, Lord, in the lives of myself, as well as what you can do in the lives and have done in the lives of many others. So just pray that people open up their hearts, open up their minds, and receive this information with curiosity. Then hopefully you can act upon the things that you're feeling today. These are the things I say in the wonderful, mighty name of Jesus. Amen. So with that, I want to walk you through my journey from I went to an event recently. In fact, I'm going to share my screen real quick and just show you a couple of slides that are, if I can find it, related to an event that I went to that brought up all of these feeling of things. And I'm not finding, because I'm not doing my entire screen. Let's do the window. There we go. Here is. So the event that saved my life. That is really the episode today. And most importantly, the prayer I almost didn't pray. So I think it's really important. The event that saved my life. And what was that event? And then the prayer I almost did not pray. I think that's really important. So the event that saved my life is interesting. It was a event I went to a year ago, almost to the week. The event was a health and wellness event in Plano, Texas. And so I'm going to go, hopefully you're seeing me. This Plano, Texas event was called Changing Life and Destiny. And this event was a normal wellness event. The prior year, I'd actually spoken at that event. And at that event, I'd released a new product that we had been working on. Was so excited. I was a keynote speaker at a health and wellness event. It was really exciting times. And then here it was a year later, and I'm walking, halfway walking. I had a knee scooter at the time. And I was, because of my health condition, melanoma that I had blocked the lymph nodes in my right leg. And my right leg had grown substantially in size because of the blockage of the lymph nodes. And so my wife had to wrap my leg every single day. And I was forced to move around with a knee scooter. And so for me, being an athlete my entire life, that was a really difficult period of my journey. But I was literally at this health event with my knee scooter. And the reason why I want to talk about this event, because literally it saved my life. So the circumstances to get there, I think, are very important. But let's back up and tell you that what took me from where I was speaking, a high of my health career, was speaking and being a keynote speaker at a very reputable health and wellness event. There was other keynote speakers, but I was one of them. So it was really an awesome time. But then a year later, here I am, the person really needing the help. And but what had transpired in between is I was diagnosed with melanoma, and it was a spot on my right ankle. And that's a really odd place to get cancer, but I did get it, and it was on I was diagnosed with it, and it was on my right ankle. And unfortunately, I'd had that spot there for quite a while, and I blame myself for not getting it looked at and taking care of it early on. Because if I would have gotten it taken care of early on, it probably would not have progressed to the stage that it did. So that was a good lesson learned. So I want to implore, maybe it's one thing that you've looked at a spot on your skin, and you decided not to get it looked at, and you keep delaying getting it looked at. My advice to you today is go get it looked at, because I did not. I ignored mine for a really long time, and mine ended up growing into something that almost killed me. And so the interesting thing about that process was I was diagnosed in November, and then December comes around, and I get introduced to an incredible holistic practitioner who helped me really understand what I was dealing with. Because one of the things that I also want to talk about is sometimes the deluge of information. When you go through this process, it's one, you hear it on the phone, right? I received a phone call, and I wasn't in shock. It was just like one of those things. When I got the phone call, it was like, well, that sucks. And I didn't really know a lot about what I had. I just was told that I had melanoma, and it was a pretty advanced stage. And I was like, what does that mean? I really honestly didn't know. And so then you start doing what I did, what everybody else would do. I started searching for it, right? I Googled it. I at that point, ChatGPT was around. So I was doing searches on there, and the information I received back was pretty worrisome. It's like, that's probably not a very good thing that I've been diagnosed with. I'm not claiming that I have anything, but I was diagnosed with it. So in my mind, I'm literally healed in Jesus' name. And so we'll walk through why I'm so confident in that and why I feel that. But I want to walk you through the journey, because the journey is important. And so going through this deluge of information was really difficult, because I wanted to understand it. So I did a lot of research myself. But then, of course, I shared it with my wife, and she's an amazing researcher. She did a lot of research. And then you start talking to friends and family. And what I found with this big C word is that everybody has a remedy. Everybody has, oh, have you tried this? Oh, I've heard this. Oh, I've heard that. This works, this works, this works, this works, this works. So it's like, and then you start doing searches on online, and of course they retarget you, which I'm in marketing, so I understand the retargeting component. But man, you get deluged with everything related to that topic. And so now they're even listening to your phone, right? And you talk about it with your spouse, and all of a sudden you go back to your computer, and the computer's telling you, showing you ads about the thing you talked about, and you had never even written it down. That's pretty darn scary, but that is what the society we live in today. But the reason why I mention all of this is the mindset. As you go through that process, it's frustrating in the respect that everybody has a remedy, everybody has a solution. And what I've come to find, I think is very, very important, is that this word and this issue and condition that I was diagnosed with is increasing crazy in our society. So it's not going to go away. It's going to keep happening. And that's why I really felt this was an important episode to do, because I believe I'm going to help at least one person is going to listen to this today, and they're going to make a positive change to their life just by understanding what I did and how I did it, and what the Lord did for me related to this journey. So the reason why I think this is really important is I found out through all the research that I had done is that this big C word, there's hundreds of different types, right? And then the most important thing that I've learned is the reason why I contract this thing, and the reason why the person sitting next to me could have the same exact diagnosis with the same exact problem, but the reason they got it is different than the reason I contracted it. And so that's really, really, really important, because the way what I'm finding, right, the research I've done is to help combat this and help your body, this incredible temple that God gave us, heal. It's very important to understand that fact that you have to look at the source and why that person ended up receiving that condition, and the person next to you, because the way you treat it is going to be different. And so it's really frustrating when people say, oh, hey, have you tried this herb or this peanut or this nut? I've looked at everything, honestly, and there's some amazing things, and I do a lot of things. So I'm more than happy to share with you what my protocols were and what I did and how I ended up, I'm winning this battle. Regardless, I know I've won the battle already. And I believe that the Lord put me through this, one, to save my life. We'll talk about that a little later, because I believe that I did get cancer, and I did get it for a reason. And so I believe it was to save my heart. So we'll talk through that. But I wanted to talk through those things. The deluge of information is real, and it's frustrating when you're the recipient of all that information, because some of it gives you hope, which is very, very good. But also some of it's really frustrating, because it's like, no matter how you go through the situation, just because it helped one person in one circumstance and for one type of this issue has no relevance to me and what I have and why I got it. And so it may have one little iota of a relevance to me, but typically very, very small relevance. So when people are good-hearted and they want to help you, and they said, hey, help my sister, or help my so-and-so, or I read it online and it helped all these people, and it's man, it's frustrating. So I just wanted to set the expectation that there's hundreds of different types, and the reasons why everybody gets it is different. So you times that by the number of factors, and it's in the millions of. So you can't say this thing is going to fix this particular thing, and that's one of the problems I have with our standard of care in the United States. Is we treat word with really big swaths of treatments instead of a targeted treatment that's specific to a person. And we'll talk about that, because I have some really exciting news related to my health, related to that particular issue. But I just wanted to reset that stage, because I think it's super important, right? And I'm really talking to the people who was either misdiagnosed, or the spouse who just got bad news, seen too many specialists, and you're just tired of being strong, right? And I want to give you hope, because there is hope. And I think it's super important. And this is not, none of this information has been gone through a doctor's approval. And this is just speaking of my personal testimony, right? This is Rob's opinion. This is not a recommendation for anything that you should or could do. So I want to make sure that that's very clear, right? This is just Rob. This is what I did. This is why I did it. And if it helps you, thank God, right? That's what I'm doing. I did want to share 1 Corinthians 16, what is it? 16:3, I believe. Let me go that slide and present that to you again. So let's go to, where is it? There it is. No, it's not. Share. Where'd my share go? Oops. Share. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to share this. So this is an important component, right? Do you know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit whose you have received from God? You are not your own. 1 Corinthians 6:19. So sorry about that. 1 Corinthians 6:19. One of the things I'm working on is biblical recall. I know a lot of the verses, but I don't the actual specific of the verse, right? 1 Corinthians 6:19. Do you know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who's in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. So the reason why I want to do that is very important, in the respect that your body, God designed this body so incredibly cool and so complex that it is amazing. Even doctors today, they still don't understand this body. They understand scientifically maybe how their cells work and how things interacting, but there's so much information, so much new things that we're learning about, like quantum and quantum computing. And then your body receives, it's some of the studies that you learn about and some of the research things, they're still trying to figure it out. God has designed it so complex that we've been studying this human body for decades, and even the smartest people on the planet still haven't figured it all out. So that goes to show you how incredibly complex this thing is. And guess what? We have one of these. And I did a very good job of destroying my temple for a long time. I really took bad care of my temple for a long time. So I'm paying the price for that. And that's okay now, because I understand it, and I want to help people avoid the mistakes that I made, right? So don't go down the path I did. I want to learn. I want people to learn from my mistakes, and I want to help people take care of this incredible temple. But it's also understand that it's never too late, right? God is good. He has everything for our good. Romans 8:28 is an amazing verse. That literally, God does for our good for those who believe in him. And so I believe in him, and I believe that he's doing everything for my good. And so I wanted to set the stage there from the fact that this is an incredible temple. God designed it really incredibly. But why did the Changing Life and Destiny events, let's get back to that. Why did that event save my life? Well, I went to this event, and I again on my knee scooter, and 3 different people at that event recommended a particular place in Cancun and a specific doctor to go to. And for legal reasons, I'm not going to say the names of those folks. I did, because this is my personal testimony. It's not my record. I'm not recommending any product and solution under any treatment. I just wanted to share with you what I did. And so anyway, these different people they don't know each other. 3 recommended this one particular place in Cancun. And so I took that as something very important for me to research, because it was like, okay, I went and all these people were telling me these great things. I bought this Cancun water, whatever it's called, very expensive water, and this oxygenated water, and I drank that. Something I tried everything, right? And I've been trying everything because I'm such a fighter. I'm going to win this battle. I am going to win this battle. I've already won this battle. So I know that for a fact. But as I was going through this, my knee scooter, my leg is swollen. I was going through, very frustrating times with 3 different people. One of them that did tell me was Dr. Dan Pompa. So Dr. Dan Pompa is an amazing holistic health practitioner. He's got millions of followers on social media because he's out talking about how to take care of this temple. And I watched him in a couple of weeks prior to seeing him at the Changing Life and Destiny event. I saw him speak at Dr. Fab Mancini's conference, and Dan Pompa was speaking. He mentioned Rock Kazakh was one of the things that he really is important to him, and that's be strong and courageous in Hebrew. And so, phrase I had never heard prior to me coming to Texas. When I came to Texas, I was introduced to a really amazing group of people called the Mighty Men Church here in Texas. And there's 300 men who get together every weekend, and they learn about the Bible, and they learn about the Word, and they have an amazing leader there who's talking about Kazakh. It's an amazing story, and we always go through that every week, that particular story. So that just like Dan Pompa because of that. So I really respected him. And then some other woman who was an amazing holistic practitioner said the same thing. And the third one, the surprising one to me, is I started doing research that weekend. I was looking through the testimonials of this particular clinic, and one of the testimonials was one related to the same condition that I had been diagnosed with, and he had been healed. And I was like, wow, that's great. That's cool, right? I want to learn more about it. What does this mean? And then he was like, I was referred to this Gary Brecka. And Gary Brecka, if you don't know who Gary Brecka is, another amazing advocate, and he's owned a company called 10X Health. I think he still does, but he also has a podcast called The Ultimate Human. And I had 6 months prior to that, I had started listening to him a lot and learning from him, and how to hydrate the body, how to put nutrients in the body, and how to do things correctly to transform this body of mine from a producer of bad cells in the body to a fighter of bad cells in the body. And that's what I've done, right? I literally have transitioned my body from a producer of bad cells to a fighter of bad cells. So my immune system is strong. It's very strong. It's taken me a year to do that. So anyway, so as that third recommendation was really hit me as well, because I'm like, oh my gosh, if he's recommending this place, and Dan Pompa's recommending this thing, and then there's other woman who told me about it. I'm like, I better do some serious research. So I researched the heck out of this place. I was excited about it, but online they didn't have any pricing or any information. They had a lot of information, a lot of testimonials, but you had to talk to somebody. So I knew it was going to be cheap in Denver. So I did connect with them early that following week. And during that week, I took a couple of days to get a hold of them. I got a hold of them, but did a short intake with me, and what issue do I have, and how long was it, and everything, my whole backstory. So I went through my whole backstory, and they said, yeah, we can help you. And I was like, fantastic. Or just like, how do we do it? And they're like, well, we're cash only. It's $150,000. I was like, poof, fell on the ground. Unfortunately, my particular personal situation was, from a financial perspective, the whole process has been devastating. Went from okay financially to financially through this process. One, I didn't have insurance, and so had to pay cash for most of my treatments, and the treatments are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that I'm still owe. And so very difficult from a financial perspective. So when they said it's $150,000, I knew I didn't have that $150,000 to pay. And so this is the prayer. This is literally I was on my couch and I got on my knees. I just said, Lord, what do I do? Do I suck up all the pride I have and go fund me? Do I beg people for money? Do I, everything I have, which would have been fine. It's like possessions to me now don't mean a lot, and I'll explain that later as well. But I just literally was like, what do I do? I was devastated because I knew I couldn't afford it. And I was just like, Lord, help me understand what to do. Do I do this? Do I sell everything? Do I beg? Do I pick up every ounce of pride I have and do it? I was going through every scenario. What can I do? Do I have a rich uncle? I don't have a rich uncle. Could I turn to that could help me through this process? And it's my life, right? As I looked at the unfortunate of the health issue that I was diagnosed with, not good when it starts in your lymph nodes and it starts spreading. And so, I'd known by then that it was already spread to my groin. So it had gone from my ankle and got into my lymphatic system and into my groin. I had tumors in my groin that had swollen enough to block my lymphatic system to where my leg was starting to swell dramatically. And I'm like, my gosh, here I am, my late 50s, and I've got this issue. And I was like, I'm such a fighter. I'm like, no way this is going to take me out. So that was the prayer. It's like, what do I do? And it was, I think, a Monday. I think it was a Tuesday, because Monday was getting a hold of them, and they got a hold of me. It was a pretty quick process, and was on my knees on that Tuesday night. Just I was crying. Not to do this very often, but through this process, I've been much more vulnerable. But it's like, Lord, what do I do? I don't have the money, but this is my life, and I have a responsibility to my wife and my children, and to take care of myself. And I asked for forgiveness for whatever I did to cause issue, and then even not even to get it looked at early enough, right? So just asked for forgiveness, and I just said, what do I do? And didn't get an immediate answer, right? A lot of times when you communicate with God, it's like he does it through a lot of different means. Lo and behold, on a Wednesday, the next day, I'm on a call with I have an e-commerce organization, and I do Facebook ads as part of that. And so I have a team of people who help me with that. And I was on a call with my Facebook ads team. And the gentleman on the other end of the Zoom call is like, hey, Rob, he says, he knew that I had this condition. He says, do you have a solid tumor? I'm like, what are you talking about? Why are you asking me this personal question on a Zoom call about Facebook ads? And he said, yes. And well, let's talk right after this. So I got with our Zoom call, and I connected. We talked, and he's like, I just got off the phone 15 minutes prior to our call with a center down in Mexico, in a different place in Mexico. And they're looking for candidates who have solid tumors to try an experimental treatment. And the experimental treatment that I was looking at, it wasn't an experimental treatment. The treatment I was looking at for the other center in Cancun was a process called the dendritic process. And it's a process where they take a piece of your tumor, and then they do the genetic breakdown of the tumor. And then they take your white blood cells, and then they, over a number of weeks, they train your white blood cells to attack your specific tumor. So they literally take your tumor, yours, that your body is inside your body, and they take your white blood cells with the dendritic cells, which are the fighters, and then they train those to attack your tumor. It's just such an incredible personalized solution that I was just like, wow. That's why I was so excited about it. I'm like, just makes a lot of sense to me. Center in Mexico was looking for candidates. To make a long story short, I connected with them, and God answered my prayer. He literally answered my prayer. I've been receiving treatments. They just finished my 8th treatment from this center, and they are paying for all of those treatments. I believe it saved my life. That's why the episode is the event I went to that saved my life. If I didn't go to the Changing Life of Destiny event, I would not have learned about these treatments. I would not have been on my knees on that Tuesday night praying for the Lord's help. And answer pretty dang quick. It was just absolutely amazing to me. I think it's literally one in my life that I really believe that God answered a prayer specifically that I had been praying for. And I believe that is a miracle. I believe it's that there's no way, rhyme or reason why that came about other than God. And so I want to give you encouragement that no matter how low you are and how troubled you are and how difficult your situation is, there's always hope, right? He's always there. He always does things for our good. So I do want to fast forward to that quick, because I think it also is very important, and it'll kind of up my journey related to this particular event. But I have been getting this dendritic, and it's really strange. I do have some, you can't see it, got some issues, colorization of my skin, and side effects from the and the sessions that I'm getting might be from the dendritic process, but geez, but the great news is things are looking really good from a health perspective. So I'm not going to say percentages or numbers. I'm just going to say that I'm winning the battle. I am winning this battle. And significant. I've been able to from a year ago, me being on the knee scooter to not having to wrap my leg every day, and my leg the lymphatic system has started moving. I've been able to start exercising again. And another answer to my prayers, whether I could go exercise and run with my beautiful wife, because we had been getting in shape and working out together. And when we came to Texas, we were running 3 days a week and then biking once or twice a week. And it was just something we really enjoyed doing together. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't for quite a long time. And so I thought that might be the rest of my life. And so I am proud to say I was able to run 3 miles this morning. And so I was able to run with her. And so God answered my prayers. That was one of the prayers that I had was, man, Lord, please let me and exercise with my wife. Let us have that time together. And it's little answer to prayer, but it's so amazing to see, because I am doing well from a health perspective, and I've got lots of different things, and I've gone lots of seminars and read lots of books, and I've done a very large amount of research on big letters that people are dealing with. So am I an expert? Heck no, but I do know a lot of good people, and I'm learning a lot of really exciting things that I believe is going to help a lot of people down the road. So stay connected with me, because there's lots of resources and stuff that I have. I'm going to be providing for people that I think are going to be very helpful. And I'm building, Biohacking Bill community is going to have a ton of resources in there. And this episode is in the faith pillar of my whole that I want to create is called the Light Code. And that's for another time, but the faith component of it is very important. And that's why I'm having this discussion is I believe the Lord, by going to the Change in Life and Destiny event, he started the process where I was intrigued about this process. I had a number of people, I've never heard of this place before, never heard of the process that they were doing. And all of a sudden I learned about it and I was all excited about it. And then boom, I was crashed onto my knees, devastated, because I knew I couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden, boom, the Lord just provides it to me on a silver platter. It was not even a silver platter. It was a flipping gold diamond platter. It was just like, what? Are you kidding me? That's incredible. And so I mentioned that I believe he gave it to me a reason to save my life. And this is another just real quick crazy story. And I think it's very important. I actually have 5 times in my life I've almost died. And the most recent one was related to my heart. And so I was an athlete when I was young, and was a collegiate runner, and was really moving well. I'd gotten a full ride running scholarship to BYU, and I was doing really well from a running perspective. I got hit by a 4x4 truck. That ended up in my running career, but just wanted to let you know that I was a really high level athlete. I knew how to train my body. I knew how nutrition was very important to the body. And the interesting thing is I ended up being diagnosed with a heart condition called bradycardia. And it was in my 20s that I was diagnosed with this. And they said, your heart beats really slow. And so we can do one of two things. We can continue to live like that because you look like you're in decent shape. I was at the time. And went through all the heart tests and said, your heart, it seems to be fine, but it's just beating slow. So you can either have it continue to beat slow, and or recommended to get a pacemaker. And this was in my 20s. I'm like, nah, I don't want to I'm not going to get a pacemaker. I'm in my 20s. So I said, no. I'd forgotten all about that until came to Texas in my 50s. And the year before I got diagnosed with melanoma is that I went into the just to do a blood test, and they took my blood, took my pulse, and it was in the 30s. And there's like, the nurse literally thought there was something broken with her. So she went and got another one, came back and said, oh my gosh, yeah, your heart is really beating slow. We need to do a EKG. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. I just came to get my blood test. And they set me down, did an EKG, and the EKG came back abnormal. And so that started a whole process where I ended up seeing a cardiologist, went through the whole and the whole testing said, at the end of the day, after all those tests, he said, I recommend you get a pacemaker. He says, you are an abnormal human being. I know I've been told that a lot, but he said, no reason you should be walking around like you are. But to me, it was normal. I was just who I was. So I refused. I said, no, I don't want to get a pacemaker. And then, lo and behold, I had that first one decades ago tell me I need a pacemaker. This guy tells me I need a pacemaker. And for almost 9 months, I spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to do things naturally, right? I was learning all this information about natural health. And that's another big lesson that I want to make sure I convey today is you don't go all the way one or the other. Don't go all the way holistic and natural and ignore modern medicine. Also, just the reverse of that. Do not do just modern medicine and ignore all natural health. Not a good idea. And this I'm a perfect example of why. So I was going down this all natural health path, learning about the human body, learning how incredible it was, learning from all these natural holistic doctors. And so when I didn't trust any doctor at that point because I'd learned about the takeover of our healthcare system, et cetera. And I didn't trust any. So I said no. And I again tried to fix it myself. Lo and behold, I get diagnosed with this condition. And remember, this condition grew in my lymphatic system. And meeting with the oncologist, he's like, may need to do surgery on those. So I need you to see a cardiologist. So I'm like, oh, well, crud. So I'd forgotten that there's one other cardiologist that I met during my ankle surgery. So in order to get the spot removed from my ankle, he me go see a cardiologist. And the cardiologist said, no, you cannot put me under because my heart wasn't strong enough. So the only way I thought I could get my ankle done was get a pacemaker. So that was the second cardiologist who told me to get a pacemaker. Actually, I guess that's the third if you technically look at it that way. And I said no, but then when the did spread to my lymphatic system, I went back to that doctor and said, hey, we need to get rid of this thing. So he agreed to do the surgery without putting me fully under, which was not fun at all. But I was able to do it without going under. But just to show you the multiple times that I've had a physician say, or a cardiologist say, you need a pacemaker. And it's like, holy smokes, that's the third. Who told me I need to get a pacemaker. My oncologist, you may need to do surgery on this thing. And so a lot of research on how much it costs, right? Again, I'm paying for all this with my own money without, have insurance. So it's like $25,000, $30,000, $50,000 for a pacemaker in addition to all the other money for my cancer treatments. So it's like from a financial perspective. So that's one of the reasons why I was just like, no, I'm not going to do it. And lo and behold, since it was needed to potentially operate on my tumors, I finally said yes. And I was going to get my pacemaker. So they scheduled the operation, and it takes months for that to happen. And the month leading up to that, I literally was sitting on the couch and I almost passed out on the couch. And that was one of the symptoms that the doctors kept asking me about. They said, do you ever feel faint? Do you ever feel like you're going to pass out? Do you ever this? And they asked me all these weird questions that to me, it was like, no, I don't have any of those. And no, I don't feel like I'm fainting. But literally, I was on the couch doing my Bible study, I believe, and felt like I was going to pass out. It was like I almost passed out just sitting there doing nothing. I was like, wow, that's weird feeling. Not good. Then the day of my surgery, driving on the freeway down in Texas, going 75 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour probably. And I almost passed out. I got that same feeling, just like, oh. And my wife's like, what the heck? What's going on? I was like, sure. And I literally almost passed out. And so what ended up happening is I went to the cardiologist's office, and they were preparing me for the surgery, and the nurses were freaking out because my heart at that point was down in the 27. There's like, so how are you standing up? She goes, I don't get it. She's like, literally, she says, I was going to push you down on the ground. I was going to start chest compressing you and get your heart going, because that's not normal. And she literally was freaking out. My wife's like, what is going on? And I'm just like, so they finally get me into the pacemaker surgery. Surgery starts, and guess what happens? Heart fails, 100%. So what had happened, my heart was failing this whole time. And laying there on the surgery with heart surgeons and heart specialists all around me, and my heart finally gave up. If I wasn't literally on that table with the surgeons there, I would not be here talking to you today. God orchestrated that event, in my opinion, for me to finally say yes, and for me to finally get the help that I needed. And my heart finally gave out. What I'd found out through after the fact was that I'd had a condition called bradycardia when I had a junctional rhythm. So my heart was fluttering so much that my backup was always beating my heart. And that had been doing that for decades. And what I found out is my backup failed. And so the only thing that was but beating my heart was the bottom chamber. And that's why it was so slow, because it's very slow. And that's why my heart was continuing to go. And it's very unstable. So when your bottom chamber is the only thing that's left, there's no other backup. And it did fail. If I wasn't on that operating table in that particular hospital with heart surgeons all around me, I wouldn't be here today. So literally, that's why I say God gave me cancer to save my life. So just absolutely incredible. But if I didn't go the Changing Life and Destiny event, I would not have gone through the dendritic process as well. So I wanted to walk through those things because I think it's very important, and that I believe God has been with me this entire time. I want to give anybody that's struggling that there is hope. He has literally shown up for me multiple times through this process, that there's no other answer but God, the I am. He was there for me. And after the heart incident, had a dramatic change in my life. Everything in my life has shifted to where nothing is important to me from a financial perspective. Life has been now dedicated to making a difference. So I want to help you, that you does have a plan for you. If you have breath in your lungs today, He has a plan for your life. And so I want you to use it. And so I want to say a quick prayer for everybody here. Dear Lord, thank you so much for people who have listened to this story. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for Changing Life and Destiny event. Thank you for Dan Pampa. Thank you for Gary Brecka. Thank you for the center in Cancun. Thank you for the center in Tijuana. Thank you for all the people who've been there. Thank you for the heart specialist who saved me. Thank you for just giving me the ability to thrive and to survive. And thank you for changing my priorities, where now nothing in my life matters from a financial perspective. I don't care about anything other than trying to help your kingdom. And I'm praying that I can help one person today, give them hope that God does have a plan for their life as well. And that if they can rely and trust in you, that you can lead them and direct them and potentially heal them. And those are the things that we say. And those are the things I pray for in the wonderful and mighty name of Jesus. So I just wanted to invite you to the Biohacking community. So if you go to biohackingbill.com, there's a community, and I'm just starting it, but I'm going to have a lot of resources in there for integrative oncology. I'm going to have a lot of resources on all the Biohacking topics that we talk about. So join me at biohackingbill.com. So believe, biohack, come.
Remember, if you have air in your lungs today, God has a plan for your life. Believe, biohack, come.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Join the community and get the show notes at biohackingbill.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at Biohacking Bill. Until next time, believe, biohack, become.